a zipline expert because he has expertise in the zipline and recreational industry. And so he's been an entrepreneur a couple different ways throughout his life. And so he's here to kind of talk to you about his experience, his story, what he's doing. Y'all be ready to ask him the kind of questions about, whatever you've learned about. And just let's glean some information from some successful entrepreneurs. So Troy, he's like me. We were talking about it earlier. We may look old in these little mortal bodies we're trapped in, but we're just spiritual beings trying to make it through a wonderful journey. And as we get smarter, we get a little bit older, but we do have some stuff we hope will help those that are just not far behind us. So, welcome, Troy. Take it over.
Thank you, Greg.
I'm gonna look for my stuff while you're giving your
That
here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Troy. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Troy.
Long meeting again.
Entrepreneurial holic.
I tell you. And the reason why I say that is because I am a sober alcoholic. I have 35 years of sobriety this month, which was an amazing world.
I realize, but that's really an achievement.
Yeah, and it is because when I start looking at my family, my ancestors, my dad, I see them drinking their life away. And I decided at 24 that I was done. And so at 24, I started wanting to work for myself because I was working for everybody else.
We'll push that top one.
Not a portion. Okay. And so I was working for everybody else, and I always wanted to work for myself. So let's move to the next one. Does this work for that? Or?
No.
Okay.
This is what you want to
So I ended up going back to school after learning that I wanted to do something different. And I became a machinist. I got a machining degree, and then that led me into being an inventor and engineer, and that all comes down there. But it really all relies on a serial entrepreneur. And I'm just gonna kind of just move through this. So how I became a business owner. I got into school. I got into UBSC or UBCC at the time back in 1992. Got my machine tooling degree, moved on from that, and immediately started a business. Not that I knew what I was doing. You guys have a much better start at what you're doing because you got some foundation. Then I moved on and I got a bachelor's degree in engineering. I sold my machining and welding degree, or business, which was 20 years old, got into engineering and started doing an engineering group. And that's what I do right now. My company is Momentum Engineering. We're an LLC, ZipSafe. But I've learned a lot over the years, and the education has made a difference. Because when you're in education, you're going to places and you're seeing other people, you can go to things to learn about becoming a better business owner, better staff, whatever it is. So one of the key takeaways I want you to learn from this is partnerships. And many of you probably heard what a partnership is. It's the only ship that won't float, but realistically there are some partnerships that do work. And I was reading about one, the group that bought Anytime Fitness. Now that's in this magazine, and I always recommend staying up with current things. This is the Harvard Business Review. I read it every quarter. And for me, it's huge because what I learned from this Anytime Fitness group was that they went in and they saw the challenges that were going on in like Gold's Gym and all these other gyms, and they said, let's make it better. That's the advantages you have, and that's how you set yourself apart from everyone else. Tax paperwork, you need to stay up on that. If you're doing employees, if you're doing resale, stay up on it because that can really get you in trouble. We're all gonna have challenges, so expect them. So my industry, I started out as a welder. I was working for another guy. I was building roller coasters at Intermountain Lift over in Springville, which kind of led me into building this giant zip line at Park City Mountain Resort. So I did that in 2002. That was a huge, huge hit. At the time, Park City knew that there were some things that they had to do, and they knew that they had people coming during the winter time, but the Forestry Service said, we want more summertime activities. And so that's why you saw all the blossoming. And that's where if you got some insider information on things that are going on that maybe the government is saying we want to do, which they wanted more revenue on their summertime activity. Now you put together a product that you can sell to these people because they need it. One thing I learned as an entrepreneur, go ahead and go to the next.
Tell us real quick why Park City was motivated just because the Forest Service needed more revenue. How does that equation work?
Okay, let me come back to that. And one of the reasons why I'm with Park City, I was living in Cedar City. I had a machine shop down there, and I'd worked with an engineer who had worked on roller coasters, and I'd met him, and so it's those connections. And so he had a guy from Park City, an employee, and that kind of goes into my patent stuff that I'm gonna make sure I get to, is he wanted me to take this Costa Rican zipline trolley looking thing that he had brought from there and make it into a 60-mile-an-hour trolley that could travel down the zipline and stop people. And so what happened with that was he learned that the industry, the Forest Service, had came in somewhere in the 2001, 2000, right in there, and said, all you ski resorts, we're getting good money off of you during your wintertime activities. Now we want summertime activities. We want some revenue off of that. And that's why you saw a lot of ski resorts starting to put in outline slides and all kinds of different.
This is the key I'm trying to get to, is what he did was these parks, these resorts, apparently they pay either percentage of sales or they pay something as their lease.
Yes, yeah.
For the land that they're running their ski slopes on, which is not their land, they're leasing it from the federal government. And so the federal government says, we wanna raise your lease price. And they're like, well, we can't support that with the skiing. And they're like, well, you got the rest of the year, figure it out. So it's kinda like that equation of, you've got it, it's here, it needs to produce something more. So they have to think multifaceted on how they can move into the rest of the year. So a lot of times, you know, there's different reasons you'll have to do things, which persuade you to shift and still keep your main thing alive. So that was just something else. And then the other thing is, how did he actually get involved? Through his what?
Network.
Through his network. This was somebody he had just worked with, and then it ended up being in Park City, so
Yeah.
good.
And that's the key, really networking. I mean, I met Greg over at 1 Million Cups. I put together a board, and we'll get into that, and my board is based on people I've met at Toastmasters. If you're not a Toastmaster, you really need to get involved in Toastmasters, because Toastmasters will help you speak to people so that you can keep their attention. It's really important. So let's move on. So this is the Park City Mountain Resort zipline that I built. I built it shortly after I started the business. I have 5 US patents today. I've made it from micro entity to small entity, which cost me more money. The government paid, you know, once you get to 5. And then I opened a zipline in 2009 in Spanish Fork. Now, the cool thing about Park City Mountain Resort is it broke all these records. It broke records for the tallest zipline, the longest zipline, and the zipline that paid for itself the fastest. The ROI on this resort was 6 months. 6 months for that zipline. And I can show you how easy that is to do with 2 people going down a zipline at the same time. You can run about 300 people a day, that's 600 tickets. Now you run it for 6 months, and it's big money. And so the industry needed something better. And so I got into the industry with my patents, trying to do something that was great, you know, because that's what we want to do. We want to make a difference in people's lives. And so I went up there and I built this zipline, and I made a bunch of mistakes. The mistakes I made is I didn't look at this magazine to find out the economy was tanking in 2010, 11, and 12. And so I couldn't even get people there. The other big mistake I made was I hired the wrong marketer. I should have, instead of hiring a marketing manager, I should have just put a billboard up outside of the Spanish Fork Gun Club that said zipline up the canyon right here, or something like that. So learning how to market and advertise is huge with your business. First, you gotta have a product that's worth buying by somebody else, that you can sell to somebody else. One of the key things that I've learned in business is you need to follow the money. You need to follow the money. If you've got products that are, you know, all these ones and this one's excelling, focus on that one. Bring that one up. And let me tell you how my uncle did that. He started a machine shop too. He did one in Daco. And his machine shop started out doing like computer and job shop type stuff. Well, as he started moving into medical devices, that's when he started making all this money. Because now he was in a different sector, and a little bit about getting yourself into that, there's a lot of hoops, and that's where that red tape and the federal and the different things that you have to do to make sure you're compliant with the regulations so you can sell that product. That's me with my zipline trolleys. I have to be compliant with ASTM standards, which takes out some of the people that don't want to do that. Just to back up a little bit, my machining and welding shop did that. One thing, I was working on a company that makes solid rocket fuel for the space shuttle, if you remember the space shuttle, down in Cedar City. And while I was there, I noticed a company came in, rebuilt a boiler, and charged them $500,000. And I'm just like, man, I said, what's different in my work than what he's doing? Well, what was different was he went through the hoops, went through Hartford steam boiler, became a national board certified welder, and now he was able to charge 3 times the money that I was able to charge. So always look for ways to lift your business above everybody else's. Because I learned as a machinist, there was a lot of people that were doing machining jobs right out of their garage. They didn't have the overhead I had. I couldn't compete with them. And so why compete with them? Find a niche that works for you. That's one. Well, that said, being a zipline guy, building ziplines, all of a sudden, I get a call from a guy whose wife was injured. And she was injured at this Olympic Park zipline. He had no idea who to find, because a zipline expert is not something that you can just reach out and do. And I'm saying, if you're in a niche or an area of your business that you can become an expert witness and testify at some point, make sure you kind of drive that truck towards that. Because I'm making really good money, working 10 to 12 hours a day, and really good money is about 6 figures, a little over 6 figures for 10 hours a week. That's pretty decent money. If I want to work more, then I do. If I don't want to work more, I raise my rates, and that's the way I've done it. I started out at $75 an hour 7-8 years ago, and I'm 4 or 5 times that. And so keep that in mind. If you can find an area that you can testify in, it's going to help you. Right now, I've testified in over 200 accidents. Most accidents you've heard of in Utah, I've investigated. You know, the wrongful death at Sundance and many others. I'm doing a wrongful death right now at Catalina Island. And it's unbelievable what kind of money they're throwing at me to get a report out. And my reports start at $4 grand, 10 pages. So I don't know what your reports are, 10 pages or whatever, but think about that. There's a way to make money in your industry, but become the expert. So this is a couple of things. So I'm building this giant zipline park. I had this envision that I'm gonna take it to the next level. We started a podcast called The Unzipped Files, because I have all these cases that now I can talk about what went wrong, you know, and then kind of like the rest of the story. And so here's a couple of quotes. Don't be afraid to give up the good for the great. That was Rockefeller. Opportunities don't happen, you create them, truly. I have not failed. I've found 10,000 ways it didn't work. People who never make mistakes never try anything. And the secret of getting ahead is getting started. And so you're in a good position. You've got a great foundation. You've learned things that I probably had to take 10 years to learn, because you've done it in school. You've learned different areas of your, that you know that you might be able to have a niche. So keep that in mind. That's fine.
I want to take one second. Everybody get your camera, take a picture of that slide.
So I love ChatGPT, and so keep that in mind. I got a master's degree in technical writing, and that's when kind of Grammarly and all kinds of different things, because I'm an engineer. You know, engineers don't know how to write, they don't know how to read, and because all we read is story problems and all we write is formulas. And so I needed to write, and as soon as I was able to write, people started listening. Because that's a key thing. Your digital media and things that you say and do, if you know how to write, if you know how to put in a parenthetical, if you know how to put in a colon or a semicolon, or even italicize something, it's going to get noticed by people who know that that's the right way to do that. So a little bit about me. I go to the IAAPA every year. I've been going for about 10 years. IAAPA is the International Association for Amusement Parks and Attractions. This year, I made it into the Amusement Park Historical Association, and my goal is to make things safer. My company is called ZipSafe. It's a registered trademark. We're going to build the ZipSafe Aerial Adventure Park. I have 5 patents. So when you start building a business, if you can get a patent on a product or a process or a design, you're going to be ahead. Always look for a niche where you've got something that's keeping other people out of your backyard. And so patents do that. Back to the zip file, I realized one time I asked the guy, I said, I think I should write a book about all these accidents because these accidents are problematic. Let me tell you why I think zipline accidents are problematic. Because we stopped all the braking related accidents at Park City Mountain Resort. For 23 years, we've had 0 braking related accidents. Who's been ziplining here? How did you stop?
Well, I actually went in I apologize. Final blanking. It was in Central America.
Okay.
I'm blanking on that name.
Costa Rica, there's a lot of places down
Honduras.
there. Honduras, okay.
And there was no springs or anything at the end, so they would actually just catch you.
Yeah.
It was super sketchy. It was like a platform, and then they would like, you'd be coming in and they'd just like grab you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, go ahead, tell me how you did, Greg.
We went in Thailand and we had just wooden sticks. They said, all right, when you get towards the end, we're gonna yell something, and then you just gotta shove the wooden stick between the zip line and your wheel.
Yeah.
That would slow you down.
Kind of like when we were kids putting it in our bicycle tire.
They thought they were joking, and then they started handing out the sticks.
All right, all right.
I've been a bunch of different places. Some of them are like the handbrake, some of them have the, they send the line out where the thing will plug,
Yeah.
and then it smacks the front. And then there's been some that have like just a mechanism that we use when your wheels slide into it, that it catches you and
Yeah.
just slows you down.
Yeah, and they have like zip stops and stuff like that. They're more actuated. Let me tell you a little bit about zipline. You are not responsible to stop yourself. Not responsible. The standards don't say it, and the reason for that is if somebody passes out or panics, oftentimes the first time you go to that zip line is the last time, you know, especially if it's a bad experience. But the problem is zipline braking systems have caused over half of all the accidents in the industry. Over half. And I heard that at a conference, and so when that hit me, I'm thinking, why can't we do something different? And so that's why I decided, I had the patents on the Park City Mountain Resort zipline, but it was a giant 25-pound trolley. I knew I could make it better, and so I started making it and testing it and moving it forward. And what this is a fail-safe zipline trolley. Every zipline should have something like this. What it does is it defies gravity. And the cool thing about this, you might think that, oh, this is for different weights of riders, but it's not, because gravity is a constant. Not everybody falls at the same rate of speed. It's when they hit the bottom of the zip line, which is the vertex, lowest point, when they're coming out of that, that's when they call gravity braking, which gravity is an acceleration. The industry thinks it's gravity braking, but there's some big problems. Because if you go to a zip line and you ask them, what's your braking system? And they say, oh, it's gravity braking. Then you ask them about when they tested that. What are their speeds? Because there's a big difference when you start doing gravity type braking. When temperatures change in the industry or outside, you're gonna see 20, 30 degree temperature change every day. What that's gonna do to your zipline cable, it's gonna lengthen it or it's gonna shorten it. Now, if your lowest point is here and now it's shorter, you're gonna be higher. You're gonna have less run out. And so the colder days are when more people are injured. And let me tell you, the worst part of being a zipliner is being over 150 pounds. Because if you're over 150 pounds, your chances are 3 times more likely to be injured. And the reason for that is the mass of the zipliner. So it's like taking a bowling ball and a cue ball and rolling it down a ramp. Which one do you think is gonna go the farthest? Which one's gonna hurt when it hits you at the same distance? You know, it's kind of that type of analogy. But the industry doesn't realize that. And so when I got in, I'm an expert witness, I'm investigating accidents. Now I'm trying to sell them my product, but that's a bad combination. Because one, they have a bad experience with you, and so what I'm looking for right now is somebody to start making these for me or assembling them and selling them for me. Because these need to be on every zip line. Let me tell you how this little trolley works. So it has a wheel. Most zip lines, pulleys, have 2 wheels, and they travel at 95% gravity. And if you know how fast it is to fall off a ladder, that's about 95% gravity. The cool thing about this is it has a brake, a white brake, and a fail-safe brake. And the way it works is you set it up for a slope, not the weight of the rider. And then when temperatures change, you can, like if it's on a colder day, you move the weight of the rider closer to the brake, which applies more friction. A friction braking trolley, and if you've ever been to Park City Mountain Resort or Olympic Park or any of the other ones, they stop everybody at the same rate of speed. So you'll see 2 or 3 people get off the zip line, you'll see an 80-pound kid and somebody that weighs 230 or whatever. And they're coming in at the same, in fact, the kid might come in even faster. And so the way this works is a 30-pound rider applies force here, where they're 30 pounds here, the same way a 300-pound rider applies force here. We have trolleys like this that are carrying wheelchair-bound individuals down zip lines and stopping them safely. And so we can do it. We've got the product, we've got the, but now it's just a matter of getting it out. That's where, like I said, you come in. So hopefully you'll connect with me on some of the things that we're doing, because we can make some money. We can really make some money. I mean, the product, I mean, anytime you can build a product for the amusement ride industry, you're gonna make money. Because you're gonna, you know, whatever it costs you to build, you're gonna be able to double that easy. You know, and if you think about all the zip lines, there's over 4,000 zip lines in the US today. If we sold 4,000 zip lines, 30 trolleys, like I did Park City Mountain Resort back in the day, that's some big money, especially when we're selling them for, you know, $300 a piece, and cost us to make them. Right now at 10 a piece, you know, we're not doing full on, about $150. So there's like a $200 markup right there, good money. And so if you wanna be interested in ziplining and take it to another level, we can do that. Because we're gonna go even further, take us to the next one. So we're gonna build an aerial adventure park, and that's what I'm working with right now. I put together an advisory board. If you have a good idea and you wanna put something together, get some other people to work with you. So I collected an advisory board. One of the ladies that's on my advisory board was instrumental in Overstock.com for the first 10 years. So she's been around. I've got public speakers, I've got MBAs, I've got attorneys, and they're just people that are just on my board. I don't pay them right now, but once we get our seed money and our funding, then we're gonna take off. So I put this together in my master's degree. So I'm at a master's degree right now at UVU, so I don't know what you're thinking about next, but I'm in the engineering and technology management. Unbelievable. It is like an MBA on steroids. We went through Six Sigma, FinTech, now we're in product processing management and engineering economics. Anybody know engineering economics? You know what MAR is, or IRR, or those are some big things that we're doing right now, where you can put all these figures in, you know, present value, future value, and do projections. And I noticed you had some spreadsheets up there, so I don't know if that's what you're doing, but we've produced this in our IRR, initial return on investment, I believe is what that is.
Internal rate of return.
Yeah, you know, you should be speaking, is 15%. And that's really good, you know, and I don't know what you think about that, but that's where I've led this to. I've got over 1,000 hours building this giant park. And let me tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a 6-story challenge course, as big as any building here. In fact, I'm working with UVU to try and get them to zip line to different buildings. You know, because we could sell you guys this little trolley, and then you can go from this building down to the library in a couple minutes.
I think you should put one across the street at all the other
Yeah,
apartments
you
that have
were
a zip line to campus.
We can do it. We can do it.
Well, when I drove with you, I said we need a chairlift that goes across where people just have a constituous chairlift.
Yeah.
Instead of
You got a
a bridge.
chairlift?
That'd be sick.
So why not? So we're gonna build this. You know, you can find out more information about it, but it's gonna be a life-size board game. So we've taken it to another level. We're gonna call it Zips and Ladders. So you're gonna go there and you're gonna play different board games. And the cool thing is we're gonna have, go to the next slide. We're gonna have a tower like this. This one's a little taller, but it's gonna have 100 zip lines off it. 100 zip lines. Right now I'm working with a big player in Georgia. He has 107 zip lines on 300 acres. Takes you 2.5 days to go through his course. And he has little bungalows that you can stay in along the way. Pretty cool stuff. Build your dream. You know, you're at the starting line of your business. Find a niche. Find something that you're passionate about, because that's gonna make a difference. If you're not passionate about it, you're not gonna excel. You're really not. You need to find something that makes you get up every morning. There's my LinkedIn, and like I said, look forward to Zips and Ladders. Right now we're pitching to Urban Air, and if you know who Urban Air is, they're a huge franchise. Trampoline park, 350 franchises. I need people, I really do. It's to that point where I'm making enough money as an expert witness right now that I can afford to pay people to get that through that stage gate, which we're in stage gate. You can put a stage gate for agile methods or hybrid. That's what we're doing in our engineering program right now. And so I'm in stage 3 where I'm using some of my money to build, what I'm building right now is a rendering or a walkthrough so somebody can go to this park virtually. Kind of like you do at a home show, and I was at the Parade of Homes last week, and it made me realize that we need a walkthrough. So connect with me, whatever I can do to help you, you know, I've been there. You know, I want to help you with succeed, because when you succeed, everybody around you succeed, and so does the community. Thanks for letting me share with you guys. Questions?
I have an off-topic question.
Okay, I'll get to all of them.
When are you hoping and projecting to have your park up?
Well, we can do it as fast as 6 months, but right now we're looking at funding. So we're trying to get the right, so I'm vetting co-founders right now, because the model is huge. I mean, the money that we can make is huge. I put the business metrics together. I know what the demographics are. I know what the people, how many students we have here. And so I'm hoping for, Evermore Park wants something by November. I don't know if we can do it because I'm still working on the founder and getting that all done, but they asked me then if we could do something there. But if you know investors, I'm willing to listen to anyone. I really am, and I can show people how much money this will make.
Where is it? Evermore Park?
Evermore Park, that's over by Brandon Sanderson's place. Brandon Sanderson just bought some property over there. It's right around the Pleasant Grove exit.
It was city,
Yeah.
Pleasant Grove exit.
So tell people.
You guys created Evermore, who's the founder, who did it?
I know the Foxes are there now,
Okay.
Travis and Michelle, but I don't know. I know there was some I walked through Evermore Park and it was a poorly run business. I mean, they had no plans for some of the things they built. I don't know how they got through the city. It was pretty bad.
So one of my questions with this is, when you're on notch 2,
Mm-hmm.
and you're hanging, what keeps it from falling back to notch 1?
It's really hard. It's like trying to jump when you're in a pendulum. Like you're suspended. So to even get it to bump up
Would be difficult.
would be really difficult.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this trolley is 2 of the braking systems that we're gonna put on there. Our fail-safe system is gonna be a spring array, and I didn't bring a spring, but I've developed a conical spring or a barrel-shaped spring that is pretty amazing, a lot different than the one we did at Park City Mountain Resort. So if everything fails on that, you're still gonna be safe, because I don't wanna cause more accidents, you know, and I wanna showcase this product at this park so all the other zip lines will see that this is a better product.
My other question is, the line goes through here and over the wheel, right?
No. So what I learned from my Park City Mountain Resort stuff is we had the brake on the bottom and we had the wheel on the top at one time, kind of like what you were just saying. But when it rains, now your coefficient of friction starts changing the friction on this. And so we came in a lot faster, and we just thought, let's just put it on the top of the cable, the brake, so the force is applied down and you don't have the water issue.
And how will the friction not melt that plastic away?
Well,
What's the material of that?
That's the cool thing about it. We've generated all kinds of different plastic models, and we've done the testing, and that's what you have to do. You have to go out and test your products. So I've got test videos that you might be able to get to. If you just look up Troy Richardson accident-free ziplines, I was testing 6-7 years ago in southern Utah, and we always test with sandbags. We don't use people anymore, because we're doing that enough as it is. And
I figured I'd see a cow going down.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, we were using 80-pound weights and up to 300 pounds weights, and they were all stopping.
But it wasn't wearing away the plastic.
Well, it does. It will. This is a Teflon.
It's a part you
But
replace.
over time, that'll wear away.
It will work.
That's a
So
maintenance.
Yeah.
How you don't
And
use-
hopefully it wears out the same time the wheel does. Then you just sell them a new one. Because really the trolley is good for about 4 years. And so that's the goal, is because if this does wear out, so you have this issue here where you pull that pin, you just rotate it that. And these are really kind of prototypes. I try to work with all my customers as this is a user-centered design. What do you need? And so we'll send them out a test trolley, which is different than this, that has a whole bunch of pin placements, so that they can find out where they need to be. And then they come back to me with the data, and we just remodel it, and then we cut it. But this is more a prototype that we send out for people who are using the 2-wheel pulleys right now, and this model will work for them. But, and then like I said, if this brake fails, the fail-safe part of it is that little brake right there.
So when it pops sideways, then you have another brake.
Yeah, the brake right there. And the industry requires a fail-safe system,
Yeah.
although they don't do a very good job at doing it.
Hopefully you get.
There's a standard diameter cable for every zip line in the US, or how?
It's based on length. So we built a zip line in Nepal, a mile long, and had an inch and an eighth cable, big diameter. But if you're under 500 feet, you can get away with a 3/8. The one that I built in Spanish Fork, we had a 5/8 and a 1/2 inch.
And so you have multiple products to accommodate for different sized
Well,
cables?
I didn't bring that trolley, but I actually patented another wheel that's a parabolic wheel. That if you do have these big long zip lines, plus you have the short ones, you're gonna have a parabolic curve in there for 3/4 inch cable down to 3/8.
Nice.
So a lot of our products are still in the, phase of, okay, we need your input. And that's a good thing that you need to do too. If you're gonna be doing a business, go do your market research, it's cheap. Once you start the business, now you're committed, and most businesses fail within the first 5 years. Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, so I'm impressed with your career and experience because it seems like a bit similar to me. I'm a physics student, actually, and I want you to ask, like, how did you decide to allocate time for this? Like, what brought you to do this?
It was the accidents that I was investigating. So when I first got that first accident, I came in and I realized that there was a huge problem. I thought, these other courses don't have the ability, because I'm not kidding you, that Park City Mountain Resort trolley that we built, I wasn't the engineer on that, thankfully. 25 pounds. Can you imagine putting that on an off-piece? Why they built it that big, I don't know. But let me tell you a little bit about patents. I built that Park City Mountain Resort zipline. You need to protect yourself if you have a good idea. And right now, even more than anything, because in 2013, it was first to file. If you tell somebody your idea, and they go out and file, they can have your patent. So let me tell you what happened to me. I was building this thing, the kid come in, he's a ski patrol guy, literally a ski patrol guy. And he comes in and he's like, make this go faster. And so he'd come down and test with us and everything. And so when we were building Park City Mountain Resort, he says to me, I'm getting a patent. Well, I knew a little bit about a patent, but I didn't know as much as he did because his dad had a patent. And so I said, well, I need to be on that patent. Well, he said, absolutely not. That guy right now is making $5-6 million a year, building stuff that uses my technology. In fact, he tried to get on my patent in 2011. He fought me in court when I had that really bad downturn, But let me tell you about an employee thinking that they can take your patent. So if you hire somebody and they're working for you, they don't have the rights to your patent. You might have to put them on the intellectual property part of your patent. Yeah, they helped invent it, but they don't get the rights. And that's where Park City Mountain Resort or Vail Resorts really screwed up. Because this guy went off and got his own patent, started building them. Now the karma there, because that kind of makes you mad when somebody takes your technology and now is doing something with it, is I've investigated 5 accidents that are his, and he's the top one of my 200 in accidents, and unfortunately he's killed, or 4 people have died on his zip lines. And the industry is just, you got the money to pay for the insurance, we'll give it to you. And it's that. So, but yeah, we have to talk more, because I have 33 credits of physics just to get my, to take the patent bar, because I took the patent bar too. So anytime you finish with a science degree, Master of Science, odds are you can get in and take the patent bar, which is another area to really, because that's 70,000 a year to start out.
The patent bar,
Patent bar. Yeah, so what it is,
that's like to be an intellectual review of patents.
yeah, so what it is, as a patent attorney, you can write patents, describe them, and represent people in court. As a patent agent, you can write patents, describe them, submit them, but you can't represent people in court. So there's a difference. And most law firms that are patent firms do like patent agents, because that's just somebody they can put over here and they don't have to worry about him litigating in court. So keep that in mind as an option. Go ahead.
Quick question on patents. How does that work with software? Because there's software that's open source that uses a framework that are on these open source websites. when you implement that into your niche, how do you go about patenting that?
Well, the big thing is, first you wanna do a patent search.
Mhm.
You wanna make sure that nobody else has got it, but let me tell you, software is like 90% of all patents that are filed right now.
Mhm.
And it's been higher than that, I know, but I don't know, but it might even be higher than that now. But, yeah, you've gotta find something that's different enough that has a utility, you know, and a purpose, and so, I can't even imagine. I don't do software engineering,
Right.
you know, I let ChatGPT do that. If I need something that, you know, fixed or whatever, I just say, hey, does this code look right? Oh, no, let me make it better.
Okay.
Any other?
Real world use of AI, schooling, master's program.
Totally.
I mean, do you think that Troy seeks after additional knowledge and expertise throughout his life? It's ever learning, it's kind of a very important thing. Key takeaways, what's the key takeaway that you had back there, Kate?
I really like those quotes that you shared. Just like, you need people to do your business with, and so getting people is important.
Truly, truly. Your connections are, I mean, it's like they say, all of my business is in my cell phone. If I didn't wanna just go out and look for everybody else, all my business customers are in my cell phone, because they know me.
So did that work, Josh?
I think one key takeaway is just there's so much, like knowledge and wealth in so many different industries I wouldn't think of. Like for me, I would just think a zipline's pretty simple and cheap. Just put up a wire, put up a harness, that's it. But now you're saying there's like so much money to be had. There's so much like improvements to be made. It's kind of cool to look at. So
It is, and if you find an industry that needs improvements, and you have them, you're gonna set yourself up for a really good business.